Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spiritual Insight Show. I'm Reverend Tiffany White, Sage Woman, and happy St. Patrick's Day for those that celebrate. Celebrate in the New Western way, anyway. Oh, but thank you, everyone who is watching this show live. You have the opportunity to chat with other viewers in the chat box there. If you're watching this live from TPN TV, you may need to click on the link for Ustream. Once you're on Ustream, you will see to the right, there's a box, and it has 3 tabs. It says Videos, Social Stream, and Chat. If you click on the Chat tab, you will be able to chat with, not only with me, I can see the comments that you put in there, but with everyone else too who is watching this show live. And if you're watching this show on archives, still thank you so much. All the energy is set. We're all sitting in a sacred circle with one another. And it just, no matter how you're viewing it, thank you. I am grateful. And I am a messenger. So keep that clear channel open here. So, all right. Well, so it's, like I said in the beginning, this is St. Patrick's Day. Now, today, even if you aren't St. Patrick's Day, you might find the energies and to be very strong. Lots of ancestral energies are surfacing for many people at this time. These energies tend to affect one's mood. And try not to get lost in your emotions, as most of these feelings are not even your own. These energies are coming to the surface for a reason. They're coming to the surface to be healed. So let's heal it and release it. All right. Now, sometimes some items, no matter what, some energies, let me say that, some energies, depending on who they're attached to. But some energies need more than one healing session. Sometimes we have to, it keeps popping up and we have to revisit it. Not because we're not taking care of it, but because it's so big to us that we have to continuously give it a healing, put it in a healing session until it's finally all resolved and then released. Okay? So don't be frustrated with yourself if you are working on, not trying, but you are working on your emotions, your situations, you are balancing yourself. You may feel like it's frustrating at times, but just let even that be the indicator that you're doing it and everything is fine. Okay? So, yeah, I feel the energy. It's a lot. I felt it this morning, actually, in waking up, and we woke up here in Connecticut with, it was really, really dark. I didn't even know what time it was. I thought it was still the middle of the night. But when you have dogs or you have pets, you have dogs or cats, they're going to wake you up. They're alarm clocks. Get on the bed and go, hey, it's time. So I was like, let me look at the clock. When my pup was like, time to get up. And I looked at the clock and I was like, wow, look how dark it is. But it was rainy. And so I always find that with water's a huge magnifier. And the energies just are more intense when it rains, when there's moisture in the air. And so it's, but it's a good thing, not a bad thing. All right, it's the same type of ions that's in the air like when we're at the beach. And it's just that water ions. All right, so the abundance of it. But the thing is that usually at the beach we have the sun to balance, we have the fire to balance that water energy. And so this is why we're at the end of the winter and the beginning of spring and we're getting all antsy, even if there's an abundance of water during the winter time. We have to balance it with light. And that's why there's a lot of light festivals in the winter. Light candles, I've talked about this before. Put up some white lights. Just make things bright and happy. All right, bright and cheery to keep you balanced. All right, so I like to start off with the numerology of the day, the number of the day. And we use the complete date to do that. And in numerology, we're taking any numbers, multiple digit numbers, down to a single digit between 1 and 9. And for the energies of today, we use the complete date, March 17th, 2015. And we're going to, it's easy to add the numbers down. March is a number 3 month, so 3, there we go. The date is the 17th. 1 plus 7 is 8. And then 2015 is, all right, viewers who's watched many times, what energetic vibration is 2015? A number 8. So how did we get that? Look at 2015. Now 2 plus 0 is still 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay, so if we were to add it all together, 3 plus 8 equals 19. But we're not done yet. Let's add the 1 plus 9 is 10. And then, of course, 1 plus 0 is 1. So today is a 1 vibration, very high vibration for today. It has the potential. The energies that are there is always the potential. It's up to us. We have a choice whether we want to tap into these energies or not. Because sometimes you may hear these and go, well, that's not how I'm feeling at all. That's okay. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's just that you're maybe being distracted by the things around you. These are the energies that are there, that are favorable, and that we can easily access and attain. Okay, so today is the potential for the most dynamic days as it starts off a new cycle. 1 starts off a new cycle. So it's a day of beginnings and a day of changes, a day to put ideas into action and begin working on the things that you've been putting off. Your independence is important today. It's time to stand on your feet and forge forward, even without perceived support from the outside. The possibility of meeting someone new is strong. Well, of course, if some people have big family gatherings today, or some people just go out, whether you go out to eat, to celebrate, or you get together with friends, there's always that possibility of meeting somebody new. And get off the computer. Don't meet someone online today. Let's just go and meet somebody. Let's do the old-fashioned way of meeting someone. And I'm not saying that online, a lot of people online dating has been very successful, or just socializing, but there's something very special about meeting somebody face to face. All right, and then it also just solves a lot of, am I being lied to? Is this really the person's picture? Is this, all that stuff. You got it. You know it. You see them. It's just now getting to that energy. How does this energy feel? So it's, but it's just like I said, nothing beats the live in-person meetings. And, all right. So Friday, and we'll talk about that number 1 again, the new cycle. When does the cycle end? 9 days from now. So if today is a 1 vibration, what's tomorrow? A 2. What's the next day? A 3. 4. You can keep doing that and counting. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9th day is Wednesday. So know this, that next Tuesday when I do my show is going to be the number 8. Right? Of course, it's going to be an 8 vibration, given those little peek ahead, right? So the next Wednesday, is the end of this cycle. So anything you start today, you want to have it wrapped up by next Wednesday. All right? And I'm talking about the short-term type of projects. And the big ones, put it in different phases. I need to have phase 1 done in 9 days. Can I get phase 2 done in 9 days? Or just, try to get it down to what's manageable. in that time frame. So I've had someone ask that too. I was like, okay, so what's a cycle? What's the length of a cycle? It really is as long as you want it to be, but here's the favorable is work within these 9 days, chunks of 9 days. And also too, this Friday we have a new moon and a solar eclipse. Wow, very powerful energies to help support this new phase that we're going through. All right, so very, very beautiful. Yay. It's exciting. We should all just be very, very exciting. And even if it's like this new phase of, and this is interesting because we not only got the new moon and solar eclipse on Friday, you know what this weekend is the beginning of spring. A new phase. Ooh, yeah, beautiful. So this is why it's very highly energetic. And for the next 9 days, we can just be riding on this energy high because this is the beginning of that phase. So understand that and know that. You go, wow, what is going on? You'll understand why and what's going on. All right. So speaking of numerology, there is in the True Psychics Network website, you can go to truepsychicsnetwork.com and click on the TPN magazine tab. We have lots of articles and also let you know about upcoming shows. And we also feature Jane Alton, a numerology, daily numerology. She is the UK's #1 numerologist. And I love her daily numerology as well. It's very beautiful. So check that out. And also, while you're on the True Psychics Network website, click on the horoscopes tab and you will see the weekly horoscopes have been composed by me. Well, I was the channel, the messenger from Spirit. So see what energies are favorable for you this week. They are composed every Monday, so Monday to Monday. You have that, the energies will be activated for you to tap into. All right, and next Monday we'll have another True Psychics Network member channel the horoscopes. So I'm really glad that I got to do them this week. So, yay! And of course, you can visit my personal website is whitesagewoman.com. Whitesagewoman.com. All right. So I'd like to also have the weekly gemstone and crystal message. So it's really beautiful today. The messages that came today for the gemstone and channeling was rose quartz. Rose quartz. And now here's my rose quartz right here at my desk, here at the corner of my desk, and it is a oh my goodness, you know, come on, Tiffany, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, this is a rose quartz. Isn't it beautiful? And the shape will come to me in just a minute. I had it! This is okay. See, the energy is just whipping around. There's so much going on. Ah! Oh, it's hold on. All right, it'll come to me when I'm not even thinking about it. So right now, rose quartz. This is very good. Rose quartz is the stone of love and relationships. It helps you to communicate with others in harmony. Helps you to communicate in harmony with everyone. All right, so I made a joke earlier today when I was channeling this, and I was laughing because I was like, so forget the Blarney Stone. Everyone go kiss a piece of rose quartz today. Mwah! Yay! Isn't that funny? So, anyway. So, yeah, rose quartz. And you can get them raw, you can get it polished. It's all very beautiful. Yay! So, anyway. Okay. And then also the spirit animal, the spirit power animal, a message come through, allow for a spirit animal to come through and give a message. This is nature. You know, These are messages from nature. And the animal that stepped forward was a raccoon. So cute. Little mask. A raccoon. So, raccoons, the characteristics of raccoons and what it helps us, the energies to tap into, is understands the nature of masks. The nature of masks. Balancing curiosity, seeking guidance and confidence, and dexterity, the mental skills. All right. Raccoons are very smart. They are very smart. Anyone who's had to interact with them knows this. Excuse me, get some fresh water here. Ah, yes, nice. All right, excuse me. All right. So that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful with the raccoon. So the topic, thank you, raccoon and rose quartz. Very nice messages. So the topic today is bloodlines, and it's something that has came up really. The guides and I having a discussion several weeks ago. And then it has just slowly, I knew I was going to do it for a show or have this topic for a show, but just didn't know when. I just go with it. And this usually happens too. Sometimes I'm shuffling different things and from communications and chats with my guides. And when I say guides, I include angels, master teachers, all sorts of guides that communicate with. All right. And so, because there's different vibrational types of guides. And so, I kind of do say God, angels, and guides. And so whatever your concept of God or creator, the universe, that's fine. Whatever energy you want to have behind that is perfectly fine for you. So it was bloodlines because I had always asked the question about bloodlines. So we're going to get to that in just a few moments. I did want to, in the spirit of St. Francis, there is a prayer. It's very long. Now, do I believe in prayer? Absolutely, I believe in prayer. Prayer works. I remember having a conversation with master teachers when I was younger because these were they're bigger, they're high vibrational. Let me explain it this way. The higher vibrational guides that you communicate with, and maybe master teachers, okay, they appear really big in light, huge. And there's some that are huger than the others, bigger than the others. The most biggest, of course, to me, are the angels. And it's such a high vibration of love that it brings you to complete happiness. It can bring you to tears of joy, of love, because you truly do feel touched by an angel. All those who have been touched by an angel never forgets that vibration, never forgets that feeling. All right. So I remember having a conversation with the guides when I were younger and being taken to church, and I had a lot of questions. And it was like, explain prayer for me. Since when do we start asking for something instead of commanding it? Because it's our divine birthright to command. And yes, but things have changed. And with the rise of the church, and there's a middleman now. You have to really go through this middle person to get to God. Yes, so our conversations, I just enjoyed our conversations when I still do. I'm just saying though, but it just blew me away that at that age, having these very deep and in-depth conversations, and they said yes, that's okay. You can pray and ask, and or you can just put the command behind that. However you want to do that, to keep commanding. And they're like, but in this time, what's going to happen is that prayer is asking, but we always have to receive. And so make sure that there's a meditation. Make sure there's that where you're listening, for that answer. For people who ask. And I was like, well, that just seems like a long path. We have forgotten how to command and make it so. And some people might think that it's egotistical now, but it's not. It's our divine birthright. as long as your command, it doesn't harm anyone, right? It's a harm none, and that and it's a balanced command. Absolutely, we can do that. So anyway, I'm not going to go through this whole the prayer of Saint Patrick, because it's a very long one. But if you're interested in it, you can Google it. You can find the prayer of Saint Patrick. There's also certain parts in here that does not resonate with me, and probably is not going to resonate with you. Very old thinking, but some of it is really beautiful. The Trinity, whatever that means to you. What does the Trinity mean to you? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself that? Is it what the church says? Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? Or, I personally, it's one, together, the mother and father, the male and feminine. All right, it's mother and father God. All right, is the Trinity is oh, I'm sorry, right? They're unified. It's Father God, Mother God, and their love for us. It's us. How their love created us, and it's called the adamantine particles. If you ever are curious about this, is where science does support this. The creation as far as the adamantine particles with God, a creator, so to speak, and not just the Big Bang Theory. So it's, I say mother and father and the adamantine particles, all right, which is all of us, all of the divine creation, every divine creation, every living being, all right. So whatever resonates with you doesn't mean it's wrong. All right. So here's just a little bit of it. And again, for those just joining, the prayer of St. Patrick. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through a belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of the sun, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of the wind, depth of the sea, stability of the earth, and firmness of the rock. This one I actually was taught, or we had this one around us a lot growing up. Christ with me. Now, Christ consciousness. Christ is the title, not so much like Buddha. Okay, it's not really a person, it's a title. Christ signifies Christ consciousness. It's a consciousness. All right, it's that eighth chakra above us. It's that halo. All right, Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on the right, Christ on the left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ in the Christ in the heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of every man who speaks of me, Christ in the eye that sees me, Christ in the ear that hears me. Does this sound familiar? All right. Christ consciousness within, as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without, as without, so within. And also, too, let's combine in Namaste, because you see the God in each person, that God aspect, that divine aspect, right? Beautiful. So many different ways in our history of how this is being said. And then it just ends again with the same. I arise today through the mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through the belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. So it's a very long one. Like I wasn't going to go through each one of it, and like I said, there's certain parts of it now that I know that a lot of us would kind of cringe probably. We're like, ew, really? But it's okay. All right, let's just. That's all right. So I'm sorry, I heard a noise. It's like, it's okay. I'll check it out later, dogs. I know it wasn't you guys, because they're all standing here like, what was that? So it's okay. Probably spirit roaming around. So it's have you ever noticed on holidays, celebrations, even get-togethers, it could be birthdays, it could be any type of family celebration that you have your loved ones around you, even more so, and you can feel them around you. How many people set a plate for them at the table? Some people set a place setting for their loved ones in spirit. It's not a place for each person, but it just signifies here's a setting for everyone that has crossed over, all their loved ones. And we invite you to be here. Well, you can do that. That's nice. You don't have to. You can just, they know and they want to be there. They want to come and see. And for those, don't be upset for those who don't see it or feel it, because they always give signs that they are near you. Even if you have a memory, a sudden thought of your loved one or a sudden memory, guess what? That's them. They are accessing a memory. They are highlighting it, so to speak. And you felt, by you feeling their presence, it triggers this memory. But that's their way of letting you know we're here. Very beautiful. Very nice. And so, then I just want to tie in with the topic, bloodlines. Bloodlines. Now, there always seems to be some sort of royalty, importance, or significance, and bloodlines in our history. Personally, what does this mean to you? How do you feel about the bloodlines? So, personal story. Personal story with the bloodlines. Those who are adopted may feel lost if they don't understand their bloodlines. But then once all of that curiosity of the raccoon, once that curiosity has been satisfied, you really don't care anymore about that. And as soon as you embrace you are where you need to be, everything just opens up and feels so much better. And here's the thing too, is all through history is riddled with people who really weren't in the bloodline, but were still in the family. And you had some that totally embraced. You had others that did not, that were very strict with the bloodlines. But there's just a lot of trickery with the bloodline too. What do I mean by that? So I was watching, and this is another validation, but the guides were like, okay, see, this is something great. We do a lot of recording of shows because I don't watch a lot of television, but I do, for me to relax, and part of my unwinding at nighttime is to record shows, and I watch the shows that have been recorded. And so one of the shows that I absolutely enjoy is The Three Musketeers, or The Musketeers, on BBC America. So I enjoy that show tremendously. So, I'm watching it, and there is a storyline in there, all right, where the king and queen of France couldn't have a child, couldn't conceive. All right, now this is a very interesting time with the kings and queens and the rise of the church, because here they have their own beliefs, and then they have this new, this cardinal, or now you have this church now that you're supposed to follow their rules. But interestingly enough, they sent the queen off to some kind of convent, but really what they were doing too is fertility ceremonies. It's very pagan, isn't it? So they were doing some type of fertility ceremonies for her. So here's the thing, is that how many times in history did this happen? And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassment to the bloodline if you could not conceive a child. And I'm sorry, most of it was men too. It had the male in the family to carry on, because the king, that just was a symbol of strength. Yes, sure. but and we can get into it, but we're not about the whole where's the real strength, is it just the masculine, is it just the feminine, or is it the unified team? um, so anyway, and then you had a lot of them arranged anyway. It was all positioning, trying to combine these bloodlines. So what happens now? Someone's fertile, you don't know who it is. I mean, infertile, someone that might be even sterile or have a problem. You don't know who it is. So anyway, the queen ends up having an affair, and she's pregnant, and then she does get pregnant. So the king, though, it's not the bloodline of the king. And for the whole sake of France, we have to be quiet about it and let this rule. Let this child rule eventually. How many, and it was a son, how many times do you think this has happened in history? It's happened a lot. A lot. Yes. Unfortunately, it would be, and if they didn't love each other, if the king and the king didn't love the queen and vice versa, whatever, and the fertility issue was with the woman, it was just fine, we'll get another one because I have to have an heir. Fortunately, women were disposable and replaceable, right? So let's just get someone else. But if the queen was it was arranged, it was still hush hush, be quiet. We'll say the queen had a baby, but we'll bring someone else in here to have it. Just trickery. So the whole thing about the importance of a bloodline is rubbish. Forget it. And you even have some bloodlines who didn't want to rule and ran away and hid. All right? So they didn't want any part of it. And then you had some who weren't. I mean, somebody had to had obligations and had this duty. So somewhere along the lines, it all got so screwed up. And we forgot to, and I'm talking about our earthly human bloodlines. We have gotten so sidetracked, or separated, I should say, from, how about our divine light lines, our divine ties energetically. We are pure energy. We are we are we are like God. We are small gods, small versions of God, right? So we are the children of the divine, children of the oneness. And we have gotten so comfortable with our life on this earth plane and being in these human bodies that we have forgotten that. But please, more and more remembering, more and more awakening. Every time you look up at the stars, you should be reminded that we are so much more than we are. What we appear to be here. All right. So it's really interesting. I like to watch too. I know some of you who are friends with me on Facebook, you can see I'll post, I'm watching Ancient Aliens. I love this show. I like this because it's not just scientific. They put a lot of metaphysical and spiritual theories and suggestions into the show, and I really like that because they're just looking at certain topics from every angle, and I really like that. And so I just find it very, very interesting. Now, the thing about bloodlines, thank you. I know the guides are, I'm sorry if it just sounds like I'm talking, stopping. We're also, thank you. Merkaba. This is a Merkaba. I couldn't think of it earlier. So, when I was opening up and trying to, it just gets weird. Anyway, so here, they're all, okay, Merkaba. Thank you, guides. Alright, so, bloodlines, one of the most important bloodlines of people is the bloodline of Jesus Christ, of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. I said it. You heard me. And there's a lot of, but in order to say that there's a bloodline of Jesus, or I know him as Yeshua, in order to admit that, you have to admit that the crucifixion was a hoax. you can reach resurrection without an actual physical death. Do you know that? It's called enlightenment. It's called transformation. It's called transition. It's whatever you want to call it. It's a changing, though, of one type of energy to the next. You know, our body regenerates every 7 years. Couldn't we say we resurrect every 7 years? Every cell in our body, the skins, we have a resurrection every 7 years. Yay! That's why it's called the 7-year itch. New skin. Ooh, it's itchy. You know. Anyway, kind of have fun. So you know, it doesn't have to have a physical death in order to resurrect. Shamans know this. We call this a shamanic death. The shedding of skin, the shedding of one way of being and into another. The end of one cycle, the beginning of a new cycle. All right? We do this so periodically. You see life and what we call death, life and death, birth and death. It is so spontaneous and continuous in this life on earth. It really is. And it's something that we need to understand. It's all part of the whole. It shouldn't be separated. It's not so devastating. It shouldn't be so devastating. You know, yeah, we have to sometimes have this little grieving. Some people have to grieve over change. But let me tell you, the more that you do this, the more that you embrace that, it's a new chapter. It's a new phase. It's a step in a new direction. It's so easy to let go, and you find that you won't be grieving as much because you understand the whole process and that you won't need to grieve. Not like you used to. All right? So it's also very beautiful. And not to upset, I'm very respectful of everyone's beliefs. You know, Yeshua, this wasn't his first time on this earth. Right. He had a past life here in Atlantis times. Okay, not yet. I can't say any more than that other than Edgar Casey did validate this. They're not ready yet? Okay. All right. So there's more things. They make me hold back sometimes. All right. But it's okay. And it's nothing. And I usually catch myself and don't say that out loud. It's nothing egotistical. We all hold these truths within us. And we know when we can say them when we can't. All right. And so there's a reason why. And let me tell you something, though. We have awakened as a society. We have awakened as a community more and more than ever before. And we are in higher vibrations. We are going back to the high vibrational body. So there's also, thank you, this is what I was trying to get to, was with ancient aliens, there was a discussion about, of course, the pharaohs in Egypt, and that they were, as soon as they became the pharaoh, that they immediately started to plan their temple. They started to plan their resurrection, their crossing over, their mummification, their whole thing, and the whole mummification process. So I would ask my guides, of course, you know, whenever I watch this, and first off, how does it feel? If it felt great with me, I just wouldn't even ask. When I started to feel this isn't right, this isn't vibrating truth, this isn't vibrating correctly, why is that? What is there more to this? What's going on? And so, and then to not only remember, but to see and to feel. I mean, to just really be present in a past life memory, and in Egypt, but they were like, even though there's a specialist, nothing against these doctors or specialists in Egyptology and in history and anything like that. It's nothing against them. All right, there's a lot of, you have to understand this, symbols and hieroglyphics that are misunderstood. We try to humanize everything that we come across, but the people of that time were just newly separated, and there was a lot that still vibrated on such a very high vibration. So let's understand this high vibration now. They weren't preparing for their death. Not in that sense. This is the next phase as a pharaoh. Do you know the pharaohs were tested in their sarcophagus? All right. And I remember a past life where I was one of the priests, because there was a whole group, like a circle of priests. And it wasn't just me, it was also Tanya Terrell, also with True Psychics Network. We recognized each other when we saw each other. I have to say, okay, Tanya I recognized first. And then as I sat with her energy, I was like, oh yeah, and I remember you now. But Tanya, which is not surprising, that she's into what she does, metaphysical body work. She was into the anatomy part of it. She was the one that actually did the mummification. Let's remove these organs. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's drain the body of the blood and the fluids and everything. She did this. That was part of her thing. Her and a couple of others. Everyone had a specialty. All right. And that wasn't my specialty, even though we were all in the same. Everyone had duties and jobs to do within this priesthood. And so my particular job was to help, and Tanya did too. She had to stand in that circle and help participate with the energy. But this is where my lead was pharaohs had to be able to get to the afterlife. All right, in the present, right now, they had to be able to connect. That's what I'm talking about. They had to be able to connect to the master teachers. They had to be able to, in a sense, meditate, astral travel, leave their body. All right, so we put them in a sarcophagus and tested them. And we would stand holding the energy. We would feel what was going on. We would know when he left his body. He had to leave his body. He had to go communicate with the master teachers, with the ancestors. And yes, the ancestors are aliens. We all are alien seed. Come on, we all come from that. But we didn't totally forget at that time frame. Okay, it wasn't just they came and visited us. We knew that they are our ancestors, and we embraced it so much more than now. As far as, and the more and more of us are awakening and remembering and embracing that back. And don't be fearful. It's not monsters from outer space that's going to come and kill us. We'd all be dead if that was the case. We wouldn't even be here now. You know, they could have done that a long time ago. All right, so I know we're not someone's ant farm. We're not an alien's ant farm or experiment. All right. People say that too. It's like, really? No. So it's all very, very, really, you just don't stop and think about it. It's all very beautiful. They shouldn't be scary. So that's what we did, was we tested the pharaohs. We knew how much air was in because when you put that top on the sarcophagus, it sealed it. And we intuitively knew how much air was in this sarcophagus and when to bring the pharaoh back before he actually did die. So, because he could have died of suffocation. So this was done routinely, and until he could master it without having to be in a sarcophagus anymore. He could do this during his meditation time. All right. Sarcophagus means, I do believe, dead skin, old skin, something like that. And there you go. You are shedding this temple. And I had asked, help me to remember. I was like, why were they taken care of? Did they think that they were going to come back into their bodies? Did they misunderstand something that the master teachers have said, that you can come back into your body? And yes, they may have misunderstood a little bit about reincarnation and coming back, and how, when your soul leaves your body, it's gone. But these are temples. These are sacred temples. Our bodies are. Our human bodies are sacred temples. We should love and revere them. They held our soul while we're on this earth. They hold the soul while we're on this earth plane. And it's very special. And it's treating it as sacred garments, as sacred, it's something that it is a temple. It's very sacred. And so let's honor it. It's not that we're going to come back into these bodies. No. And we wouldn't want to. I think I was actually horrified at one point one of the shows, and they were like, now science is taking DNA, is being able to extract DNA for some of these mummifications, and finding that the DNA was alive because of the mummification process. And they're like, oh, maybe we can bring this back alive. Okay, stop. Why would you want to do that? All right? Their soul is gone. How do you know their soul's not in another life right now? Their soul's gone. What soul are you going to put into this body to activate it? I know what they're doing. They're going back to something. They're trying to go full circle back. Some people are remembering this. And I could talk about it now because it's already... I think I talked about the zombies. This is where this whole thing of zombies comes from. All right, was way back in Egyptian times. The priests, we knew how to make bodies. Now, this is not blasphemy. This is not a sin. This is not against God. Our divine creation, our divine design is light bodies. These are, and I've told it before, earth suits to live on this earth plane, because this earth has so many gases. Think about it. It's a planetarium. All right? And in order for us to survive, we had to push our light bodies, push our soul into these human bodies. So the priests could create these bodies and use them as slave labor. This is how they could get a lot of stuff done without having to harm any of its citizens. All right? Now, it became dangerous. It became totally wrong when some people in the community, in the society of that time, in that civilization, wanted to mate with these zombies. You would have created a whole new race if that had happened. No, you can't do that, or it would have just been really wrong. Who powered these zombie bodies? How could they be alive without a soul? The priests did. The priests electrified, so to speak, these bodies. All right? So this was the mass killing that is in history of everyone, all of them being killed. They had to kill them. We had to just eliminate all of the zombies, so to speak. I forget the term they call them, soulless bodies. There's actually a term that was called. So, yeah. All right. Now, I'm sure I'm probably going to get a lot of I'm going to say this for consideration only. Or please just consider it. Don't send me hate mail. All right. Some people will ask me, are you pro-choice? What about abortion? What about this? Abortion, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you something. In communicating with those that have crossed over, I don't like to say the dead because we're all alive, just different versions of it, different vibrations of it. I have never communicated with a baby that had been aborted. I had never communicated, and I've communicated with those, and there's lots of kids. Kids come around a lot, like energy. What am I talking about here? You're saying, Tiffany, what are you talking about? Because when we say babies, everyone's like, oh, they're so cute, so innocent babies. They're zombies in the womb until their soul plugs in. There, I said it. Let it sink in. Until their soul plugs in, which they usually don't plug in until between the 7th and 8th month. Because there's nothing for them to do there. I want you to really think about that. It'd be boring to plug in as soon as the egg is fertilized. What is there to do? Who wants to sit there through all of that? We don't want to. We actually choose. But From what I'm finding is from 7 to 8 months they plug in, and women feel when the soul plugs in because they feel this woo burst of energy. It's this very special moment, and if they're paying attention and if they write it down and record it, they'll feel when the soul plugs in. It's absolutely a beautiful time. But technically, let's look at that. The body is alive without a soul until the soul plugs in. So if someone was to abort something, you're not aborting a soul. All right? And because they also know this pregnancy is going to be terminated, I'm not going to go in and experience that. Why would you want to experience that? We don't. And a lot of us, even though if we've had a traumatic death, we pull out before we actually get to feel a torturous type of pain. Those of us who are tortured, and I remember I was tortured in a past life, you can pull out, you can stay there, you can know the depth of the torture, but you're not going to allow yourself to feel every bit of that. You're going to pull out at some sort, even if you don't cut the cord, or if you don't release the cord and go and leave your body, you're going to step out while it's being done. All right. So there's only a certain amount of pain we're going to allow ourselves to feel. And absolutely, our divine creator doesn't want us to feel that way either. All right. And so again, it's all about choice. Let's remember that. So the whole soul thing, I know that might be kind of scary. I've heard people say that we have two souls, or that the soul separates when you leave the body and keeps the body energized. No, nothing separates. When we're getting ready to go to higher vibrations, why would, no, our soul doesn't split off. Our soul is still the soul. Do you know we have yet to realize our full potential? I've heard people say that our bodies have the abilities to be like power plants. We can power a whole community. There's civilizations that lived underground, and there's no smoke residue on the walls. They didn't have torches. They didn't have fire like that down there to light the way. Well, how did they light the way? With our inner light, for real. Literally, we okay, our lights, our bodies are that light, and I see light bodies all the time, so I know that that's possible. So when our soul plugs into these bodies, it's going to leave that imprint, that energetic imprint of a soul. So some people may think, okay, now this energetic imprint is still like a battery and can have the bodies move. Zombieism. So do you understand what I'm talking about now? How the priests shared their soul together, unified with these zombie bodies, the fragments they were powering. All right. But if you were to kill the whole priesthood, all of these zombies would have died too. All right, because their souls would have left. Now, let's talk about, and I know that they've had this ancient civilizations or tribes that are still alive that have been now in these day and time been recorded of the body, even though their soul's gone, the body is moving, and there's certain tribes that are keeping these bodies alive. For what? For them to come back in just in case. That's a little misconception, but know that there is always a medicine man or a woman or somebody who is powering that body, who is holding that energy for them. Now, that's kind of dangerous because it's using your own energy, it's using your own power. All right. And so, especially now in this time, because we aren't at our potential, our full 12-strand potential yet, 12 strands of DNA. All right. We are getting there. We are increasing our strands of DNA. In Atlantean times, in the beginning, we had 12 strands of DNA. And you have to understand, Atlantis and Lemuria and all those ancient civilizations was like 150,000 years long, about, roughly. So we could have many lifetimes there. and have these memories. But it was the last 50,000 years of Atlantis that went corrupt. That's when the separation started. All right, the separation as far as we're turning away from this light. It was pretty much like the scientists against the priestesses, the priests, that type of thing. And it's not saying anything bad for scientists because there's a lot of light beings that's coming back and helping us. There's always a balance. If you're a bad person in one life, you may come in as a good person because you're going to try to experience it. You've got to right the wrong. It's a balancing act. No one's making you do it. It's our soul's perfection. We have to do it. We want to do it. It's what we need to do. All right? And so it's always a balancing act. So there, I gave you a little bit of details about that whole soul thing and about zombieism and why I kind of laugh at some of the shows and stuff now. Can it happen? Well, if science wants to do like they say and try to reactivate some of these dead bodies that are mummified, yes, because usually, what we do with bodies now, they're either decomposed, or it's just bones, or they are cremated. So, no. So, these little zombie stories are cute, but where did it come from? Everyone at least has some sort of memory of zombieism or whatever else we want to call it. All right? And know that there's a reason why. All of us has this shared memory for those that were there in our past lives. A lot of us had a lot of past lives. And that was another thing I had with is like, so what if you had like 50 past lives on this earth plane? Your soul's gone. They want to reactivate your body. You're not going to go in the same body. First off, when you reincarnate, you're not going to go in the same body. Who wants the same body? You're going to have different bodies. All right. And that's why even when you have, we have a very powerful hypnotherapist, an alchemist hypnotherapist in True Psychics Network. Her name is Jane. Please check her out on True Psychics Network, but she can take you through some of your past lives. That's why in the hypnosis part, or just in the remembering, because you can do that too if you remember your dreams, look down at your feet. All right, because usually it's like, look at what you're wearing, do you have shoes on, what's the ground look like beneath you, what color are your hands. If you can find a reflective surface and it not scare you, look and see what your face, see how you look. And I can tell you, it's been many different earth suits, been many different bodies. All right. So when we're back in our light body, the last thing I'm going to do is come back into another earth body. I'm going to embrace being in the light body. All right. And they're great memories and they're great outfits, so to speak, but I sure as heck don't want to put them on again because it's limiting. All right. And so now this is where we are. And I think this is one of the mistakes we make, is that we try to physically change our bodies to get to enlightenment. And that's not how that happens. Is that all within, and with our spirituality, we reach enlightenment and our body responds to that and follows suit. And we can shift back. And there was a time when we had life bodies on this earth plane, and we can just touch in and touch out. I have communicated with others who they call life between lives. It's and then what they mean by that is just past lives not on this earth. So it's like all past lives. Let's just say it that way, because I know it can seem kind of confusing. But that's what life between life means, is the life when you were on other planets and other universes, away from this universe of separation. And they lived for thousands of years. And when they were done, they just simply walked away. There wasn't this birth of a baby and death as we know it. They would just walk in and walk out. Wow. That's awesome. So it's just some things to consider. Think about that. To ask your guides. Always ask questions. What feels right? When you feel when you hear the divine truth, it vibrates in you. I said this before, like a tuning fork. It just, oh yeah, that feels good. That's right. That's good. Whew, I am burning up. I can tell when the energies. I'm either gets really cold or I get really hot. And it's like, whoo. Oh, it's beautiful. It's good stuff. It really is. Someone had asked me a question. As a matter of fact, when I had posted the last time I was watching Ancient Aliens on Facebook, on the social network, someone had, oh, I'm into all that. I believe that too, that we're not alone. And they're like, do you think that it's going to be a shock to people when it comes out? And it is. And here was my reply was, it's going to be a shock to those who follow blindly. There's another thing with the bloodlines. You know, you can change your DNA. You can change. It's nice to remember. It's nice to know maybe your heritage. I know my mother was adopted, so my bloodline kind of, I don't know where it is past then, but I have her adoption papers and I know what her family name is. And so interestingly, between both sets of parents, there is a lot of Scottish and Irish in our bloodline, with some English, and then I do have a great grandfather that was full blood Native American. So some drops of that. All right. So you can know I was always curious about the bloodline, but that's not who makes you who you are. Yeah, that's all interesting. That's cool. That's nice to know. You know, I had wanted to know the genealogy, and then I backed off because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who your bloodline in this life is and what they've done. Sure, and when you consider that we all come back with soul families, we all come back kind of together sometimes. And so we're always changing, aren't we? We're always changing bloodlines, aren't we? We're changing all of this. So the focus is so much into the physical, the physical human body. And we need to stop that. Or just shift focus. Yeah, it's important, but it's not who I am. It should never make up who you are. Who your family is, your family name, that's nice. But what is your soul story? What is your story? Your soul story. All right, that's what's more important. That's the contribution that we make. Each of us, our spiritual contribution. What is your mission? That's what we're here for. We're not here for what family you belong in, what name, bloodline, what job you have, blah, 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 blah. No. Nope. So anyway, I just see the time. I realized, whoo, okay, I'm back. Woo! Oh, it feels good. You're flying high. All right. And it's always good when you're like that and you're communicating and you feel all flighty and you're astral traveling and you're channeling. At the same time, I'm grounded. Always stay grounded. All right? And so, oh, hi, Ty. Hi. Yes, I know. He's telling me, it's time, Mommy. I got to go out. I know. We're going to go. Yeah. All right. Say hi to everyone. This is the puppy Ty. Well, he's 1 year old. Just over 1, right? Beautiful being. Yeah. Oh, such beautiful beings of unconditional love. Yes. All right. So thank you all so much for watching this show today. If you have any questions or if there's any topics you would like for me to discuss or ask the guides about, the guides, master teachers, higher vibrational beings, aliens or ancestors, whatever, send me an email. Let's talk about it. Let's have some topics. I'm getting some really great feedback lately about, hey, can you discuss this? And so this is why I want to discuss our soul, our divine DNA is so much more powerful than earthly bloodlines. Please remember that and know that. And so many blessings to each and every one of you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit in sacred circle with each and every one of us who is around and watching and in feeling. And just keep being the love and light that you are. Because you are divine love and light. Doesn't matter what your family's history is. Doesn't matter how you were raised, if you had abuse from your family or anyone else. Just know you're here, right now. You have survived. And each day, take a step step forward into that spiritual enlightenment, that spiritual resurrection. So many blessings, and lots of love and light to each and every one of you.